Hello and welcome back. So today I'm going to be going through color grading Canon Log 3 from the Canon R6, and I shot this footage in 4K 60 frames per second. Since it was sports, I was wanting the capability to slow it down in post if I wanted to, so we're going to jump on in. Okay, so I started off by picking a couple clips from a recent football game. During pregame, I shot some 4K 60 footage with the Canon R6 with a 24-70 f2.8 with a variable ND filter. Most of the footage I shot one stop under or about even for the exposure. So I always start with an adjustment layer that allows me to make the adjustments on that layer versus the clips. This is where I will apply my Rec 709, which gets the footage into a better starting point for color grading and making adjustments. So as you can see, adding the Rec 709 to the footage adds some color pop and kind of gets it in a better or normal looking clip. Before, you can see it's a little faded and it's in log format, so it's very grayed out and stuff. So this adds some contrast and saturation to the clips. And then from here, I use a LUT that I like by Danny. He made it for a documentary or a mini doc that he did recently on Sydney McLaughlin, I think is her name. She's that track athlete. So when you apply this, you can adjust the intensity. I always bring it down to 60 and see if that works. Typically, my footage works around 60 to 70%. So from there, you're going to have to make adjustments because not all LUTs are perfect for every clip. So I adjust temperature. So the white balance I used in camera that day, I used the white balance for clouds. And so I still had to make adjustments a little bit. I thought it was a little warm, little bit too yellow. So I made adjustments, and then when I go and make adjustments on any of the contrast highlights and shadows and whites and exposure, I always go way too high and way too low to just see the dynamic range I've got and what works best. And then after I make the adjustments there, I do the same with saturation and find a happy medium there, because I don't want it too much on the saturation, but you want to find a good spot where it looks like it should. And then I just watch the clip back to make sure it looks good all the way through the clip. Luckily, the exposure doesn't change because most of these shots are stationary. I'm just standing, shooting some footage. And then I kind of just proceed and do that with all the clips. So you could obviously do a lot more with this. You can use the color wheels, you can use curves, you can use the HSL secondary over in the Lumetri color panel. But for this kind of stuff, I just keep it very, very simple and just stick to the basic exposure and highlights and stuff and the color. So if you really want to get into it and get a real cinematic, I guess you could say, look, you can get into your sliders and your color wheels and stuff and just get really into it and find that color that you really, really want. But for the basic stuff that I do, I'm pretty much right here in the basic correction and the creative slot under the Lumetri color. And for all of these adjustments that I've been making to the specific clips, I make sure that the clip is selected and it's not on the adjustment layer, because the adjustment layer covers all three clips. I just have the Rec 709 and the Creative LUT on that, but for any adjustments to the clip to this any specific clip, I make sure that I've chosen that clip and make the adjustments that way. And you can see that the clip is highlighted with a white box around it, showing that it's selected. All right, so thanks for watching this video. I know it's not super in depth, but it's how I do the color grading for my stuff, whether that's weddings or sports. I'm kind of pretty basic when it comes down to color grading. So this is how I do it most of the time. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments below. Also down in the description, I will have links to the Rec 709 and the link to the LUT that I use from Danny. And with all that, I would appreciate it if you would like to subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.